I bet you all have had an experience at high school that stuck with you. Maybe you and a friend goofing off in class and getting in trouble with your teacher, or throwing food around the lunchroom with your buddies. Maybe it was prom that stuck with you. Being with your high school boy or girlfriend, just enjoying that big night. Or maybe it was saying goodbye to your high school for the last time. What was it? What was that one moment in school that stuck with you? Well, for me, it was a thing! That's right, baby. I didn't go to school. While you were at school learning and having the most informative years of your life, well, not to brag or anything, but I was socially isolated and educationally neglected to the point where I don't even remember what grade I stopped at. Oh, my bad. Let me rephrase that. I was homeschooled. That's right, who would have guessed? The weird kid artist who struggles to speak coherently and can hardly read was homeschooled. Hi. Quick introduction. My name is Waylon. I'm 19 years old and I was homeschooled since I was 8 years old, aka since the 3rd grade. I've seen some videos on YouTube about being homeschooled, but I could never relate. Everyone who said they were homeschooled were usually in a homeschooling group, or they had a stay-at-home mom, or they even had a mom who was a teacher. But not me. I could never relate, because unlike them, I had none of those things. My parents were in their mid-20s with 2 young girls. My mom was a nurse who worked night shifts and did school during the day, while taking care of us and her own mother. My father was also doing his own schooling, I think, and had a full-time job, and at the time was not very interested in being a parent. He was addicted to drinking, smoking pot, and no joke, playing League of Legends. Ladies, when they say League of Legends players are red flags, please listen. So, my parents were so busy and unable to give me and my sister attention, then why would they homeschool us? Well, I don't fucking know. Yep, I have absolutely no clue. All I have is theories. Maybe due to bullying. We didn't live in a great area, and I remember kids in my school at the age of 6 making sexual jokes and such. And I know my sister had a particularly rough time, so if I had to guess why, then that would probably be my guess. I remember one night my mom asked me and my sister if we wanted to be homeschooled, and it was probably earlier midsummer. My sister said yes, and I don't quite remember my answer, but I'm sure I said yes too. I mean, I was 8. I was probably thinking how I wouldn't have to wake up early every day and be bored in class. I didn't really have any friends since the girls thought I was weird for playing superhero with the boys, and the boys thought I had cooties or something. Homeschooling to an 8-year-old just sounded great. I also missed my mom a lot, so I thought we would be able to spend more time with each other. Oh, but poor little Waylon had no idea. He had changed the trajectory of my life and royally fucked me for the rest of my life. You see, I didn't get homeschooling groups or a stay-at-home mom. I got virtual school. Now I hear you saying, Waylon, we did virtual school for like the pandemic. It's not that bad. Or maybe you're not saying that. I have no idea. I never switched to virtual school after being in middle or high school. But you know what I do bet? A lot of y'all's grades suffered. Do you remember how much it sucked being at home, not leaving to see your friends and get away from the house? A lot of you have home issues to some degree, I bet. Most kids do. And school had been a getaway. It was probably where you made some or most of your real life friends. But getting back on track, I was set up to do virtual school. Now, I honestly don't remember too much about those times. You see, my memory sucks. But I do remember my parents set us up to do the school on the computer, connected to the living room TV, but after a little bit, my parents were told that me and my sister needed to have our own computers and our own workspaces to do our homework. You know, like you do at school. You have your own desk, locker, and all that stuff. While my parents had us sitting on the floor in the living room trying to do our homework on the family TV. After they were told to give us our own computers, we had them set up not in the living room, no, there was no room, but in our own bedroom. I believe me and my sister were sharing a bedroom at the time, so it was our bed, then our 2 computers back to back. Now you might be saying, cool, Waylon, you got your own computer at the age of 8 in your room to do your homework. You have no distractions. What could have possibly went wrong? Well, everything! First of all, I didn't have anyone teaching me one-on-one. I had no consequences for not attending virtual calls with my teacher, and the virtual classes themselves were not mandatory at all. All that mattered was that you submitted a lesson, which tended to be a select the answer small quiz, which sounds easy, right? Wrong! I was 8. I had the whole fucking internet at my fingertips. You think I'm gonna be doing my homework? When nobody was telling me to. My mom was busy and my dad didn't give a single shit. Of course, an impulsive 8-year-old with no idea what consequences aren't going to do their homework. I had MLP shitposts to be watching. You think getting an education was more important to 8-year-old me than watching the new Super Mario Logan video? Hell nah. Instead of going to school and learning what 3 times 8 was, I was staying up all night watching Markiplier and learning what clopping was. I never saw MLP the same way, dude. I pulled my first all-nighters those nights, though to be honest, I think I pulled my first ever all-nighter when I was like 6 or 7, because I used to watch those Gang Grump songs on my dad's computer. Another issue that made homeschool really suck was my parents would be arguing a lot during the days. I couldn't go to school to get away from that, because that was my school. Also, if you forgot, my father at the time was an alcoholic who was addicted to video games, so even when he did try to help with our schooling, it didn't particularly go well. As I got older, my schooling just got worse. My mom kinda got tired of me not doing my homework to the point where she would just do it herself or threaten to take something away from me unless I did it. And that only worked some of the time. As I got older, I just got more behind, and my parents just got more and more annoyed and frustrated. At some point, I got so behind that I wasn't even able to do normal virtual classes. I had to be in what's called a flex program, where you were able to do classes much slower than normal and could do as little as 1 class at a time. I don't really remember too much of this time in my life, but I was so behind that I couldn't even remember what grade I was meant to be in, and my mom just gave up on my schooling, and so I just fully gave up as well. I figured out that I needed someone to teach me like in a real class to be able to learn properly. And online school where it's just a bunch of text on a screen and it's up to me to teach myself was not gonna work. I saw everyone in movies and at the church I'd go to talk about how much fun they had had in school, prom, and friends they had made, and I was at home all day just drawing and watching YouTube, making online friends, which was nice, but I wanted a friend I could see every day. I wanted the fun trips and adventures, and I wasn't allowed that. I felt robbed of a childhood. I think I was around 12 at this point in my life, and my home life was not the best again, mainly due to my dad working from home and my mom still being at work, school, and sleeping during the day. I tended to sleep on the living room couch at some points, and I'd spend every day on that one couch, only getting up to eat or use the bathroom. I became depressed, but anytime I'd go to my mom, she would always say, "What do you have to be depressed about?" If I told her I wanted to go to real school, she would go, "Real kids are mean, and you would get bullied at a real school." I felt stuck. So I decided to try and push my mom to let me go to school. I would ask her weekly what I had to do. She would tend to tell me that I needed to do the dishes or clean a whole room of the house. And if I did that, she would let me back into real school. Around 14, I had asked her again, and she said, "You are too behind to ever go back to real school. You ruined that. If you can't do virtual school, you can't do real school." And after that, I just lost all hope. I had accepted that I would never get those experiences. It's funny. I actually would daydream about getting to go to school all the time. I would always think about having my own locker. I wanted to decorate it. I wanted to make it look silly. I wanted to see my friends in the hallways and mess around with them in class. I wanted a prom. I wanted to go to high school parties, but I never got that. And I'm not making this video because I want you all to pity me. I've accepted that I'll never get those experiences that most of you got. But I know there are others like me who were educationally neglected, and no one cared. Where was the school who was teaching me? They saw me not doing my homework for months, and they never did anything. Where were the other adults in my life? My mom would have to tell me to lie to people about what grade I was meant to be in because I didn't even know. Those teachers did not do their jobs. If they saw that I was unfit for such schooling, why did they not report it? Why didn't they tell my parents it wasn't for me? I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed. The only thing I'm upset about is knowing that this is happening to other kids, and I know the loneliness and the isolation they are made to go through. I know the embarrassment they feel. I suck at spelling, I suck at talking, I probably fucked up reading this script, and I know I have. My social anxiety is bad to the point where I think people are always watching me, judging me and saying bad things behind my back. I struggle with social cues, I get overwhelmed easily, I feel so behind from other people my age because of how much anger and anxiety that there was surrounding school. The thought of doing school anymore or learning something just makes me panic. I'm so behind when it comes to others my age that I wonder if I'm an adult or I'm still a 12-year-old stuck in their room, wondering when I'd get to make real friends, when I'd get to have real experiences, but then I remember that I'm not. This year alone, I've met up with almost all my online best friends. I went to see my boyfriend in January. In June, I got to meet my online dad, Jay, who had been the only adult in my life who cared enough to teach me things at that point in my life. I met their partner and my friend Scott, and my bestie Wesley. Wesley, if you're seeing this, I love you. Then in August, my boyfriend came down to where I lived and got to come to my house for the first time. In October, I got to meet up with my friend of about 5 years, Palooza. You guys should know Palooza by now. Fuck you, Palooza. Sorry, I gotta keep it the bit. And a new friend, Blurbs, for Halloween Horror Nights. And Epic Universe, where we had the absolute fucking time of our lives. I may not have gotten the teen experience, never got a prom or a graduation, but I have friends who love me now, and a wonderful partner of almost 3 fucking years. Holy crap! I would not ever think of treating these guys for the actual world. I may have never gotten to go to school, but I got them. And to be honest, that's way better. This New Year's, I'm going to spend with them. I can't be more thankful that even with the struggles I had faced when it comes to school and social issues, I was strong enough to come out of it a good enough person that I have a loving friend group. And my friend group is helping me learn things I wasn't able to, and I am so thankful. A lot of kids would tell me I was so lucky to be homeschooled, they wish they had got to stay home all day and mess around on their computers like I did, which had made me feel like I was dramatic for wanting to go to real school. Anytime I'd tell them I wanted to go to actual school, they would say, "Oh no you don't, it's awful. You gotta wake up so early in the morning and class is so boring." And I understand that, but to me at the point, the thought of getting out of my house and around other kids my age sounded wonderful. I guess the moral of the story is, if you're homeschooled the same way I was, you will make it. It feels like a life sentence and like it's never going to end, but I promise it will. Don't let this define you as a person. Don't let something that was out of your control define who you are. Because you're more than an uneducated kid. You're you. And that's all that really matters. I had convinced myself then that I was less than others because I wasn't as smart as them. I didn't have the same experiences as them. But I realized that that doesn't really matter. I did a decade of being homeschooled, neglected by the world, and mentally I have a lot of scars from it. It's kind of funny, because I had gone to therapy at one point and explained my situation to the lady. This was about 2022. Yeah, why was I thinking 2020, bruh? And she said, "Wow, really? A lot of kids I see are pretty messed up from the pandemic and only doing 1 to 2 years online." And I thought about that and how, yeah, a lot of kids did get issues due to that, but for me, that was an everyday experience. The pandemic was no different than everyday life for me, which made me so confused when a lot of kids were talking about how bad it was. But I was kind of happy that other kids got a taste of what I went through. And after that, no kid was like, "Oh, I want to be homeschooled so bad, so I win." But imagine that. Imagine what you went through during the pandemic for 1 to 2 years online schooled before a whole decade. That shit is a sentence, a prison sentence. To not make the video too long, I'm only gonna share 2 stories. So the first one, I was like 13. I was behind in school, like always, and my mom had been trying to get me to do my classes, but I didn't want to. So my mom told my sister to make sure I did my homework while she went and made food, I guess. So me and my sister were in our room. I was sitting on my bunk bed while probably watching YouTube, and my sister saw me not doing my homework and was mad at me because she probably told me to do it multiple times before this. So she got up and was like, Mom told me to make sure you did your fucking homework, so if you don't start doing it, I swear I'm going to fucking tell Mom. Or something like that, I don't remember. All I knew is she cussed. But as she finished, my mom opened the door and went, "You're going to what?" And my sister looked at her, then at me, because we weren't allowed to cuss, obviously. And she said a whopping 2 cuss words. And needless to say, my mom was mad at her for cussing more than at me for not doing my homework. So let's go. I rage baited my sister into getting in trouble. Second story, me and my sister were required for like 3 to 4 years to go to a school to do a quiz to check our intelligence and make sure homeschooling was working. Which every time I'd go, I was already mad. Because at 13, I was in my angry at the world phase and was made to go to school. The place I had been wanting to go to for years just to take 1 test and then made to leave. I remember every time I went there, I was praying that this was a little surprise from my mom, and at the end, she'd be like, "You get to go to real school." Yeah, just a little thing. But besides my hope, I would never try to pass these tests because I didn't really care. They didn't even go towards my grade. Also, I just never knew the answers in the first place because I was so behind. One day, weeks after the exam, my dad came into me and my sister's room mad. The test we had to do was for an English exam that required writing and reading, which by far is not me and my sister's strong suits. And also, we didn't care about doing good, so we didn't even try. He was livid that we had failed. I probably got a 0%, to be honest. So he took away all of our stuff and made us write out an entire story to show him later. Also, me and my sister did not ever really mind when we got grounded or in trouble. We were artists with art supplies and would just end up leaving the house and walking somewhere we probably weren't allowed to walk to. Also, me and my sister, despite being forced to spend every day with each other, got along really well since she was my big sister. Sorry, side tangent, but we both wrote out our stories. My sister wrote out a story about her OCs, Rose and Chase, I believe is their names, and it was pretty good. My story, on the other hand, I didn't really have any OCs that I had plots for, and I honestly did not care to write something, because again, I knew it wasn't for a grade or anything. I was pretty into FNAF at the time, and Five Nights at Freddy's Custom Night had just came out. So, I wrote the whole dialogue from the hippo from that game. You know, the audio that plays during the scenes when he fucking kills you. I don't remember exactly how I wrote it out, but I think I had just read it as like the perspective of the night guard. And I knew he was doing night guard things. Then this hippo bitch came in and went to kill him. But before he did, he started his whole dialogue. So, we showed these to our dad, and dead ass, my dad thought my sister's was can I not speak? Holy shit. Plagiarize. The word's plagiarize. And she was the one that had just rewritten a pre-existing story to the point where he was trying to look up the story to prove that she was plagiarizing. And I had gotten away with it. I win. I'm awesome. I'm too good at this cheating shit. Alright, so this script is too long and kind of rambly, and I apologize for that. I'm not too sure how long this video is going to be, but once again, all of my homeschool besties remember, it doesn't define you, and you can still learn and grow even if it's at a later stage of life than others. Be nice to homeschool kids. They are going to get mentally fucked from years of isolation, but they can grow and learn just like the rest of you. Have a good day, or good night. I have no idea, because I'm not a stalker. Yo, thank y'all for watching this video. Sorry it wasn't art related besides the art in the background. I hope to hopefully make more art videos in the future, and if you were able to relate to my homeschooling experience, God bless you. Uh sorry you had to go through that, or sorry you are going through that. It will get better. All the music in this video was done by my lovely boyfriend, Inferno. Obviously, he's dropping an album soon. You should stick around his channel so you can listen to it and listen to his new song because he's awesome. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.